2024, perhaps the biggest issue people have with the resource-based economy is how to get to it. How can we transition to this type of system? This is, of course, a very common question, which I've answered numerous times. Let me say that there are essentially two general paths, and again, I'm going to make these very apparent in the new film. The first model has to do with the actual government and corporate compliance, If the Obama administration really cared about what's happening with unemployment, they would, well, there's a lot of things that they would have done, but nevertheless, they would start taking control of industry, and they would divide up the workday. They would keep the salaries the same. So someone that works 8 hours would now only work 4, but they'd be paid the same amount of money. Then they would bring in somebody else to fill in that other gap. Now, why doesn't that happen? Well, there's one big contrasting problem. It would be against the free market if the government intervened. Ooh. So you can't expect, I mean, they already destroyed the only possibility, well, excuse me, I don't mean to sound extreme. You know, we're not going to give you socialized health care in America. And the lobby of the pharmaceutical industry and the medical establishment is far too powerful. They can just crush Congress. No one has any courage to move forward with any type of really social aspect that would really satisfy the American culture. So, you know, are they going to do that? Obviously not. But I'm going to talk about that. There could be lobbies to do such, to say, look, we have to start dividing these occupations so more people can be employed. That's what they intended to attempt to do. The unions in the 1930s would have long meetings about this. In fact, even Roosevelt had made comments about this. So that's one path, and it seems logical. It seems like that society would care enough, but we're too sick. Industry's far too sick. And, you know, what company is going to want to do that? Because, again, they lose their differential advantage. The more destitute society is, the less these corporations have to pay for employment. And there's just a vast spectrum of examples like that that go completely against the competitive mechanism of the capitalist free market system. So I find it to be very difficult. So that's the first path, is a rational, step-by-step unfolding, a movement into the slow eradication of government and industry, employment being multiplied. Anyway, you get the point. The second path has to do with the rejection of the system, a capitalization on its failure, for lack of no pun intended, excuse me, and basically eventually protests will have to come forward and we'll have to force the establishment to do it. And I think that because of the inherent nature of the establishment to maintain this system, because of the reward mechanisms for the few, for the upper 10%, that they will not have an incentive to back down, and things are just going to get worse and worse and worse with unemployment, with food scarcity, water scarcity, environmental pollution, until you're going to reach a very, very chaotic point, probably more chaotic than anything we've ever seen. I'm not talking World War. I'm talking something much more specific than that. I'm talking about grand amounts of poverty and destitution. We're already running out of water, clean water, in various places in Africa. I mean, this is just nuts. Desalinization plants could be put anywhere. And there's many forms of desalinization plants. They don't have to be complex structures. Anyway, I don't want to go into all of that. The transition is going to be a combination of biosocial pressures and human ingenuity to want to move forward.